Welcome to Michigan's WW1 Centennial News Report for June 2015. The Grand Rapids Airplane Company. The Grand Rapids Airplane Company was a conglomeration of over 14 different furniture companies. The factory floor space consisted of over 3.5 million square feet of space and over 5,800 employees that were in the furniture business. The airplane company used a total of about 1 million square feet of floor space and over 2,000 operators. The Grand Rapids Airplane Company was manufacturing the Handley Page Bomber. It was the largest bomber being built in the United States at that time, having a wingspan of over 100 feet and measures 63 feet from nose to tail at the fuselage. Today's program will examine the Grand Rapids Airplane Company. Przemysl fell to the German Austro-Hungarian Army on June 3, 1915, 10 weeks after the Russians had captured it. The campaign was meant to capture the fortress of Przemysl and its surrounding forts, and also drive the Russian army back to a place where the Germans could easily defend and pull forces out so they could send them to the Italian and the Western Front. On June 23rd, the capital of Galicia, Lemberg, fell to the German Austro-Hungarian army, which effectively marked the end of resistance by the Russian army for several months. These military successes had political consequences also, and they stopped Bulgaria and Romania from entering the war. On June 7, 1915, German airship LZ-37 was destroyed in midair by Sub-Lieutenant R.A.J. Warneford, Royal Navy Air Service, near Ghent, the first occasion of an airship being successfully attacked by an aeroplane. Lieutenant Warneford would be awarded the Victoria Cross, but would die on June 17, 1915, 10 days later, in a flying accident. The Third Battle of Carinthia, fought on the Gallipoli Peninsula during World War I, was the final in a series of Allied attacks against the Ottoman defenses aimed at capturing the original objectives of April 25, 1915. The previous failures in the first and second battles resulted in a less ambitious plan being developed for the attack, but the outcome was another costly failure for the Allies. Following the sinking of the RMS Lusitania on May 7, 1915 by the German submarine U-20, Robert Lansing backed Woodrow Wilson in issuing 3 notes of protest to the German government. William Jennings Bryan, then Secretary of State, resigned following Wilson's second note, which Bryan considered too belligerent. Robert Lansing replaced William Jennings Bryan as Secretary of State, and said in his memoirs that following the Lusitania tragedy, he always had the conviction that he would ultimately become an ally with Britain. In 1916, Lansing hired a handful of men who became the State Department's first special agents in the new Bureau of Secret Intelligence. These agents were initially used to observe the activities of the Central Powers in America, and later to watch over interned German diplomats. The small group of agents hired by Lansing would eventually become the U.S. Diplomatic Security Service. The organization of the Grand Rapids Airplane Company was a result of the belief that the furniture manufacturers of the city, with their plants, facilities, and experience, would be of considerable value to the government in meeting the airplane production for the United States during the war. It was very apparent to various Grand Rapids manufacturers who were soliciting business in Washington that as individuals they could not expect to receive any great recognition from the contracting departments of the government on airplane parts, and it was therefore decided that a company should be organized to operate and represent the combined facilities and resources of these factories, which constituted the Grand Rapids Airplane Company. Berkeley Gay Furniture, Century Furniture Company, Grand Rapids Chair Company, Grand Rapids Furniture Company, Grand Rapids Showcase Company, Imperial Furniture Company, Luce Furniture Company, the Macy Company, Royal Furniture Company, Phoenix Furniture Company, Slave Furniture Company, Stickley Brothers Company, John Whitcomb Company, Wilmarth Showcase Company. The company was incorporated under the laws of the state of Michigan in November 1917, when the following officers were elected to conduct business of the company: President S.D. Young, Grand Rapids Showcase Company; Vice President F. Stewart Foote, Imperial Furniture Company; Secretary C.C. Kuster, Stickley Brothers; Treasurer and General Manager J. Hampton Hoult; Board of Directors, Officers R.W. Irwin, Royal Furniture Company; Norman McClave, Slave Furniture Company; B.A. Hathaway, John Whitcomb Company. After receiving the official set of blueprints, the next step was to properly assign this work to the 14 factories where it could be most efficiently produced. And this assignment was made only after a careful survey of all the factories, taking into consideration which factories could manufacture the long parts most effectively. Also, which factories could produce the most intricate parts as accurately as demanded by the government inspectors. This assignment was made upon a basis of factory output and was evenly divided among the 14 factories on the above basis. The company is operating 38 batteries of dry kilns, all under government supervision, which have the capacity of over 300,000 feet of spruce per week. All lumber is handled by the lumber department, operated by the central company, and is through a central dimension mill, which rough cuts all stock before it is sent out for distribution to the various plants. In that way, the company is able to control the flow of lumber to several plants and maintain 100% inspection on all stock, which has proven very satisfactory and saves a great deal of lumber from being rejected after getting into the work of the factories. The central company maintains a production department, a traffic department, a lumber department, purchasing department, a cost department, all of which look after the aircraft work and various parts. A central warehouse is maintained for storing of all material, which is requisitioned from the same by the various factories. A fleet of 7 motor trucks is operated for delivery of rough lumber and dimensions cut lumber to the 14 factories. The contract of the Grand Rapids Airplane Company was signed March 18, 1918, and during the second week in June, the company was delivering finished planes. The company is now ahead of its shipping schedule, having a large number of planes, 100% complete, in the storage awaiting shipping instructions, which are contingent only on the supply of boats for overseas shipment. Parts of the Handley Page Bomber are manufactured from English drawings, and blueprints are subject to rejection if they exceed tolerances of 1/64 of an inch in dimension. 98% of the lumber used in the Handley Page plane is western spruce, which must be carefully selected, put through a special process of kiln drying, which requires a great deal of time and attention according to government specifications. The Grand Rapids Airplane Company, organized as it has given the local furniture manufacturers an excellent opportunity to show the production department of the Signal Corps what can be done in the way of fine woodworking by standardizing and specializing on large quantity of stock, and the management of the company has been very fortunate in having a large corps of experienced woodworkers to assist them in designing and manufacturing special tools, jigs, and templates for this work. In a number of instances, the Grand Rapids Airplane Company was able to reduce the manufacturing time for certain components compared to the English parts. For example, interplane engine strut, the same as manufactured by the English and produced by them in 42 hours, has been produced by the Grand Rapids Company in 17 hours. The local company also has a very fine sample of large wing ribs which it makes in 40 minutes, but on which the English manufacturers are spending 5 hours. Here in Grand Rapids, the time was reduced by the use of special tools made in this city. This ability and speed on parts of the Grand Rapids Airplane Company was recognized by the United States government to the extent that the company gave an order for a duplicate set of jigs and special tools which have been manufactured and shipped to England for assembly work over there. All parts are packaged for export in Grand Rapids and shipped direct to points of embarkation, where the planes are assembled and sent to France and other fighting fronts by trained fighting men. The government maintains here an inspection force of 35 men. 40 auditors are kept here to check the work of the Grand Rapids Company. British and American aviation officers and inspectors were anxious to look over the situation in Grand Rapids, and they informed the Grand Rapids Airplane Company that their planes were equal to planes made anywhere in the world. During its short life, the Grand Rapids Airplane Company made over 365 Handley Page Bombers. The Handley Page is one of the most sophisticated bombers in the world. During World War II, Grand Rapids Industries, which would be another consortium of furniture manufacturers, was formed to produce gliders and other aircraft for World War II. The photographs used for this program were from the Grand Rapids Airplane Company. They wanted to document the production of the Handley Page Bomber. One of the things I noticed was that there are a number of women working in the airplane industry. This was also noted when I did an earlier production of the Fisher Body Aeroplane Division and its factories in Detroit. At the Grand Rapids Public Museum, there are only 2 items left from the Grand Rapids Airplane Company. One of them is this wing, which is hung in the supply area of the museum, not open to the public, and the second is a photo ID of Daisy Travis, who worked as a cutter at the Grand Rapids Airplane Company in plant number 13. The Handley Page 0400 is the largest aircraft being built in the United States, with a wingspan of over 100 feet and measures 63 feet from nose to tail of the fuselage. This plane carries a crew of 6 as follows: pilot, observer, front gunner, rear gunner, bomber, and mechanic. The plane is propelled by 2 Liberty motors of 425 horsepower each, and it also has a capacity to carry 2 1/2 tons of bomb, or its equivalent. It has a cruising radius of about 800 miles, using 60 gallons of gasoline per hour. Propellers are made of mahogany and walnut.